So, I am using a different audio setup. The audio setup I was using a while back. I was using a temporary one, which broke recently. Um, so, uh, so I hope it sounds good. It should sound good because I put in a lot of effort to make it sound good. But if it doesn't, I'm so sorry. If it sounds too different or I sound far away, like I'm on the other side of the room. Yeah, and in the last 2 weeks, there was tons of technical difficulties because of a Windows update. So there was audio problems recently. This week, there was tablet issues, both the driver and the tablet breaking. I had to wait for a new tablet to come in. And then there was Photoshop crashing in the middle of my streams, and some kind of weird update that was going on, or my issues with my drivers or something. So I'm so sorry about all these technical difficulties. I'm going to keep this in the recording so that I have an explanation for why all this happened. But let's get started. I missed you guys. Even though I saw you guys on Tuesday, I still missed you. Because things have just been so crazy. I feel like I haven't done Critique Hour in ages. And I haven't. So let's start off with some announcements. First and very most important announcement is that Portrait Studio sale will go down by the end of the month. It has been on sale for 6 months. It will go back up to its almost regular price, so it's going to be a little bit less, but it's still going to go up there. And I need you guys to take advantage of the price right now, if you guys want to have a copy of Portrait Studio. Another really important announcement, not the most important, but to you guys it's very important. Because I've been delaying it for so long. The community challenge. The community challenge is going to be as follows. I haven't posted the write-up, but I will give you a quick verbal description of it. It will be a book cover featuring, it's an interior room book cover, so it's inside a very, very large room. And the narrative that I will post, you guys have to read it and paint it as if it is a book cover. You choose your title, you choose the author name. Please don't write my name. I do not want to see my name and author name. You guys can post it on Reddit. All your you have to post it on Reddit. All your work, all your all anything that you put into it from your references and stuff have to be posted with the final draft. And it's basically the story of a girl who wandered into a very magical, mysterious room that is old. It's in the highest point of a highest tower in the castle. And that has set up the environment so that it is overrun or old, or, pools of water and leakage from the ceiling. Lots and lots of overgrowth and plant life. It's like a jungle inside a big stone room that used to be a library. So I'll give you guys the write-up for that, but just so that you guys can get a good idea of what's to come. What happened is that this girl wandered into this room, this magical room. She had a little clue on how to reveal the secrets of the room, and she does. And she approaches a great painting of a snake. And the snake painting, covered in all this lush overgrowth, starts to come to life. So I pretty much spoiled the text, but it's okay. It's not really about the reading experience, but it's a chance to do a lot of things. Perfect your ability to pursue texture without the overuse of textured brushes. It will prepare you guys for painting an interior environment with a very closed off, dark room, like we covered recently in the last critique hour, with exposed windows and lots of sunlight, but I wouldn't say indirect sunlight, I would say direct sunlight. So it's a very laser kind of exposure to the light. It's like the sun has a very strong beam, and it's only strong within the beam. So you're going to have to learn how to transfer objects from the dark area to the light area. Lots of texture when it comes to texture changes, so varieties of texture, so lots of texture varieties. I feel like I'm talking like Trump right now, because my headset is deafening me, so I can't hear myself talk, because the stupid headphones, these Beats headphones, are so tight, they're noise canceling, so I can't even hear my own voice. So I'm so sorry about that because I feel like I'm yelling. I just moved one off. I don't even know why I have headphones on because I'm not in a call, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take that off. So she is interacting with the snake. So the texture varieties are, there's like little puddles of water, there's leaves that are possibly wet from the rain or the droplets of water coming from the ceiling. There is the subsurface scattering of the leaves through the direct sunlight, but also the dark interior. There is the perspective that you guys are responsible for creating because it's an interior architectural environment. So you guys have to find your horizon line, find your perspective lines, your vanishing points. Then there is the fact that the snake is transferring from a 2D painting of a snake, which is the coolest shit of all that I wanted you guys to do. And this is the best part of the story. That she's transferring from the snake, the 2D snake, into the 3D snake coming to life out of the painting. So the snake is emerging of the painting of itself, emerging out of the painting of itself. And then there's the character, of course. There is expression, if you guys should show her face in your rendition. There is the gesture. There is how much of the character you're revealing. And then there's the cinematic aspect in the book cover design. So that will be due sometime next month or within the 2 months. I will give you guys all the details once I make the post. If you guys are having fun with these, if it's just listening to it is fun, this is what we're always doing in my Patreon. So if you guys want to join as an apprentice on the exclusive Discord, you get an invite and you join in on the homework challenges. So I'm just about to release the next piece of homework. We cover all kinds of stuff together. A lot of this stuff is really unique because the take on things, it's just pretty much tailored by the homework that's made and brought in. So the critiques are a direct response to the body of students in that Discord. I hope you guys have fun with this challenge. I have been waiting to release it. I love greenery just because of the fact that I moved to my new house and I can finally practice and revitalize or reinvigorate my love for plants and plant life. And I just found my green thumb, so I'm gonna have fun just looking at the leaves, painting leaves, talking about leaves. It's just going to be I'm looking forward to that, as well as the texture changes. So the pools of water, the reflective light, the bloom, all that stuff just makes my art muscles tingle. So I can't wait to talk about all of that. And I can't wait just for the colors and seeing what you guys do with the snake scales. They're all iridescent, they're colorful. Are you gonna go for a green snake or a yellow snake? God, the possibilities are endless. I would do a rainbow snake, but then do different versions of the painting where the snake is yellow and gold, and almost and in the text, the way I love the way I described it, by the way. I'm kind of a good writer, if I can say so myself. The way I just write what I want to hear, what I want to read. But the way the snake moves, it's like glass. It's like a glass chandelier that's just been moved. That's how it sounds when the snake is moving. It's like it's made of glass. And that's a really, really fun texture opportunity. You guys can make this snake fully see-through as if it's not a living snake, but like an animate object that is, of course, with the mind of a snake. And it's just made of glass. It's a musty old attic, massive attic room in this great castle that's made of stone. It looks like a jungle inside, and with vines and everything. And there's just this massive picture of a snake right in the middle of it. So I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what you guys do, especially because it'll be towards the end of the summer. So we're saying goodbye to all the green leaves and saying hello to the August challenge or the September to fall challenge, which last year we did the Harvest Goddess, if you guys remember. It was really, really fun, talking about what makes a character divine and what makes a character feel cool, like that. So let us continue to today's critique, because we're here for art as much as we are for these announcements. So Portrait Studio is on sale. The challenge is now live. I will submit the details and the brief before the end of the day, hopefully. And that's it. let's get, and if you want to post your stuff, you want to get your stuff critiqued, you don't know how, go to istebrak.com and click on the Reddit icon to join. Okay, so let's talk expressions, because this has been on my page for a while, on the CritiqueHour file. Let me just drink some water. It's on the CritiqueHour for a while, and I've had some issues kind of getting to this, because it was always just touch and go with CritiqueHour, but I really wanted to cover this today. Expressions are a complicated thing. We've talked about them before, and expressions are very, very easy to layer. They're complex only in, you know, what you are. You have to be a good actor. You have to be a good empath to be able to receive the expression as you paint it. So that way you know that you're painting the right one. And you have to be a bit just topically aware. It doesn't have to be like almost medical awareness of what happens under the skin and the muscles for you to pull off a realistic rendition of that expression. So there's the way that we receive the expression, and the way you're pulling it off, and whether or not, you know, you're telling the right story. And in portraiture, especially book cover portraiture or character design, the expression just reveals everything. You can't give a bubbly smile to a guy that's seen death. You know, you have to make sure that his version of a smile is as much as he can pull through or represent based off his character. So you have to know the character in order to know how much expression they can pull off and what a smile is to them. So you can't help, you know, you can't blame the audience for thinking she's evil. Or she's kind of crazy, or I hate the word crazy, but you know, it's just what you gotta use the trope buzzwords in order to understand what kind of read we're giving off. You know, she's kind of unhinged. It's the character expression that you would paint on a Jinx in the League of Legends splash. So League of Jinx splash art, which is my favorite one, this one, and the way they animated it too. It's really similar to it. She kind of has the almost exact same expression. Why do bad things happen to perfectly good Google searches? Why can't I go back? What is this? Why? Did you guys see this shit? Okay, whatever. So no, that's the same one. Did I close it? I don't know. It's probably the other one. Is this Sakimi-chan art? Probably. Absolute trash. Let's move on. I just want to find a larger version of the one from... if there's porn in this search right now, I'm sorry. Okay, I can't keep up with these freaking anime hentai artists who ride the porn industry and act like it's art. It's really not. It's not a fan base. You're just painting art for people addicted to porn and gaming. Anyway, Jinx Art Splash League. All right. So most of these, the really good ones, she looks crazy. That is a very specific combination of expressions. And I'm not sure if that's the one I want to teach today, because I'm not sure if the artist even meant for it to look crazy. So you see the triangular eyebrow that she has, especially in this 20s themed one. The triangular eyebrows are a sign of danger. You know, you use that triangular shape in the eyebrows to show that madness. And then the smile, the full smile with the fully jutted front teeth, almost looks primal. And then the small nose makes her look a little bit like the Cruella de Vil character. So Cruella de Vil. And it's just basically Jinx, if you guys have noticed this or not. The smaller nose upturned, especially in this splash. The thin lips, very thin. The laugh lines, and the, of course, massive exposure on the eyes, meaning that the upper eye, you know, when she's talking or like when she expresses something, this scene for instance, but this is a universal madness, and I wouldn't say this is her neutral. So if your character still expresses most of these madness features in their neutral, then they will be seen as a mad character. They will be seen as a crazy character if their neutral still has crazy elements to it. So if she, and the thing is, I don't think that's what you were doing, because you've got elements of softness here. So you've got a very, very neutral shape in the eyes, apart from the squint in this eye. I feel like you were just throwing together expressions just to have an expression, but you really didn't have a story behind it. So how do we pull it off so that there's a story? I'm still having a lot of technical issues with my tablet. I'm not sure what's happening anymore, so not sure why it's jumping around either. All right, so one of the reasons she kind of, why can't I? All right, so I'm in the pen now. All right, okay. One of the reasons that she looks a little bit crazy is because the smile is not affecting the right eye. Not right as in right or left, like the correct eye. You have the smile going on this side, but it's not affecting this eye. This eye is the one that's squinted for its own reasons. The reason why an eye squints without a smile is in the head. Write that back to me. So, I mean, I'm not talking about a squint when she's in the sun. That's a very obvious squint. The eyebrows kind of hang low and create a comfortable shape so the eye doesn't burn out of your skull with exposed sunlight. So that's a natural reaction. I'm talking about a character in an interior environment or a mild light environment without direct sunlight. Squinting, this is mental. So we gotta fix that, because if she's just having a charmed smile, if it's just a charmed smile, then, you know, we would just try to keep the eyes symmetrical, keep the eyebrows at a neutral, because the eyebrows reveal more emotion than we'd like. For instance, I express more emotion than I'd like to divulge through my eyebrows without meaning to, just because that's how eyebrows work. Just one time at the gym, I was very uncomfortable because the gym is not a very female-friendly place. And I was walking around, and you know, the gym has tons of mirrors in it. And I see myself in the mirror and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I thought that I was neutral this whole time. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable at the gym, but why are my eyebrows telling all? So I noticed that, you know, my eyebrows were very, very upset. They were very angry. It was very stern. It was kind of uncomfortable. And it was just not something that I intended to do. So that's what I noticed. The eyebrows are such powerful carriers of emotion. So if we bring down the smile a little bit and get rid of that laugh line, we can see that the eyes still have so much thought in them. Have you noticed? The squint in the eyes, the shock almost in the eyes, the fact that we don't have a lot of lash line or eyelid shadow, it all speaks towards thought. She has this shock in her eye, in her face. And I just made the eyebrows neutral and the mouth neutral. So with you, you had this. So before, after. This is just from removing the qualities you applied on your own. She looks crazy. She looks mad. She looks evil. Okay. So I think literally just flipping the mouse with the squinty eyes over it would make it make a lot more sense. No, because we still have that madness in the eyes. Simply flipping the canvas, flipping the mouth so it makes sense is not going to help, because she's still going to look evil, because the eyebrows are still very, very evil. Now she looks like she has very much the same amount of thought in her head, but the eyebrows still have a lot of thought in them, and the eyes still have a lot of thought in them. You have one eyebrow up and the eyebrows moving up into a sharp stance, and the insides of the eyebrows are down. You're telling a story about very, very insidious thoughts, at least. So let's cartoonify this character. Let's exaggerate. Okay, so we're just going to make a cartoon version of the character. And you'll see how the expression is still very, very much speaking that evil tone. Right, so we still, it's silly, but it's telling us she's up to something. Okay, so if you're gonna say, oh, that's not what I intended, oh, that's this, that's that, there's no escaping what you're telling about the face, even if we flip the canvas, flip the mouth. So I wanted to, because I'm not sure where to go with it either, but I know at least I'm gonna discuss what we're doing, what is happening. As for where to go, I can't paint every possible avenue, the interpretation. I can't paint every possible, interpretation of this critique. So I'm going to choose one, and I'm going to pursue it. And I'm going to choose the one that is the most interesting, which is, I'm in love with all the villains. So I like to, push the boundaries a little bit of what is acceptable, at least on a villain's face. I like to really push eyebrows. I like to push the eye open while still keeping it kind of a character that I wouldn't necessarily give all the usual cartoony indications of a villain, which is thin eyebrows or no eyebrows, dark circles, all that stuff. Without doing that, I like to push the boundaries to keep it human still, not creature-esque, not zombie or vampire-esque, just keeping it human while still making it feel evil. Because to be honest, humans are capable of far more evil than animals and creatures and zombies are. I'm not even scared of those. Those don't keep me up at night. Humans keep me up at night. Anyway, so how do we do that? So there is expression in the neck as well. Write that down. And by the way, people who write good notes get rewards from my store. You get a free brush set. You get maybe the whole brush pack. And those who write really, really good notes and ask for Portrait Studio get Portrait Studio for free if you don't have it. So make sure you guys are taking your notes and taking your notes seriously. So expression happens in the neck, meaning that if a character has this much thought, you kind of tilt your head down. So if I was an on-site acting coach in a movie, in like a movie, what is it, the place where they film stuff, what is it called, a movie set. I'm talking to a character who has just revealed themselves to be evil, and we don't know that they were evil this whole time. They've been plotting against the main character. We're talking like 3 seasons of the character being nice, and all of a sudden they reveal that they're evil. I would not, let them keep their head on straight. I want to show that they're skewed a little bit. So I want to tilt their head down so that they look up. And the way to do that is to show more forehead and less nose. So basically less nostrils. So you're tilting the head down so that the nostrils kind of move away so that it looks like we're seeing the top of the nose. And the mouth is closer and kind of tilted down this way. And what happens from that tilt is the eyebrows also take up space. And then of course we still have a lot of head shape at the top of the head. And then the pupils and the iris kind of look up. We will lose a little bit of the madness in the eyes, but I wouldn't say it's a big problem. Is that the eyebrows? Yeah. So I'm going to push it. I'm going to really push this as far as possible when it comes to the villain. Just so, we've done so many neutral smiles in Critique Hour. I just feel like, trying something a little bit more unhinged is fun. Because I love painting villains. I love villains in movies. They're just my favorite part of a movie because they're just so interesting. Not because I'm a bad person and I like bad people, but because they're more fun as an actor to act. They're more fun as a, like something to follow in a movie, and watch their madness. It's more colors, I think, with more 3 dimensions with a good villain. like a well-written villain, I mean. Okay, so we tilted her head down. And I'm just going to adjust the head now so everything is on the same layer. And I'm gonna exaggerate this little, so I'm gonna keep the old mouth because this squint in the eye without purpose is kind of fun. You don't have to tilt the head down. We can do this all without tilting the head. It can still stay up here. She'll still look a little bit evil. And you see how the head looks like she tilted up? I mean, tilting up the head all the way up will show that sense of pride or empowerment. You know, like, you know, like she's watching and she's looking down. But of course, the nose is the biggest giveaway for faces in perspective. You have to make sure you're addressing that the nose and the septum are all now seen from a downward angle. So you want to show a little bit more of that. It's badly done, but you want to show more. Okay, so we're learning other things. You can take different kinds of things, but again, if it was a reveal of a character that was hitherto a good guy, or until now a good guy, but is now a bad guy, you know, we have to tilt their head down just a little bit. So I'm just gonna adjust the length of the nose after the tilt down and then move the whole head down. Okay, so I just fixed the distance between the nose and the mouth. That's just a really, really mild tilt in the head. And then that will also mean that there's more head space, so the bangs need to go down just a touch. Probably should have moved the whole thing. So merge down. And just moving that, remember the hairline has to move too, or else it won't look like it's actually in perspective. It won't look like the head is tilting down. All right. So I've said this before, I'm just gonna say it again. If you don't like this, you know, critique hour, if you don't like my paint overs, if you're gonna write a 1,000 word essay in a comment section detailing every change I made and attempting to make it seem like I have no knowledge of this subject here that I've been teaching for almost a decade, and then just leave critique hour. Don't watch the videos. You're clearly benefiting from my videos, which is why you're here, but you have some kind of complex where it's difficult for you to take advice or something like that. So back off. I don't want to see your comments, and I will simply delete them. I will just delete that. I don't care what that means or what that entails. I'll delete them. Because if you're not here to add to the information distribution that is my channel, which is just all pro bono, all just for the sake of teaching people who don't have the means to find education anywhere else. If you have a problem with that, you know, just don't comment. Your stuff will get deleted. I see absolutely no sense in wasting time writing such a long comment if it's going to get deleted. Such a waste of time. So unfortunate. There's so many different ways to paint a painting, and then for the sake of appealing to you, I have to do them all. No, I'm going to choose one that I feel like is the most educational. I still cover most of the changes, the variety of changes, at least verbally, and then move on from there. So I made everything a little bit more symmetrical. Now let's talk about this mouth. This isn't a question of expression. This is just a question of anatomy. What's happening is that the smile isn't affecting her eyes, so she's got like a dead eye look, but there's still a sense of asymmetry in that one eye is more squinted than the other. And now that we've tilted the head away from the light, we can throw in an abundance of shadows underneath the brow bone. Just because what it will do is it will lead to that added level of hidden thought, let's say. Hidden thought is where all really dark thoughts start from. So let's try to represent that there are thoughts not quite that bright happening in our head. And then of course, yeah, there's this issue. You've added a wrinkle to the smile, but no at all no structural shadows to show how the majority of the muscles in the area move to make the smile happen. It was as if only muscles only existed around the mouth. No, the muscles that move the mouth happen all the way up by the temple as well. Have you not noticed that you can smile and your eyebrows move a little bit? Everything is connected. And if you smile, you can't really smile without moving your temple or your ears. It's just so difficult. Try it right now. It's all really linked. So at least, if you can, by, just practicing and not moving your eyes at all, meaning that you have that dead eye feeling, which is that soulless look in characters in anime, when they're about to kill you or reveal their inner nature or something like that. At least allow the smile to affect the cheeks. So I'm not going to affect the eyes, but I should. But at least show that there's a bulk of muscles moving. And that means that whenever we're talking bulk, we're talking a big brush. So I already applied a couple brush strokes here. So that single little wrinkle line did nothing for the character. When tilting the head down, the eyebrows should come down too, right? Just got here from that. Yeah, I did bring the eyebrows down, yes. The artist was asking for help with her proportions, so I thought I was helping with these 4 people absolutely destroyed me, called me narcissist, gaslighting, aggressive, hateful, no taste. Was this a toxic community that you joined or something? Be careful with choosing communities. Sometimes there's fanboy communities that don't really, I'm saying fanboy for lack of a better term. It's not detailed to boys only or something like that, specific to boys, but yeah, just try to stay in critique friendly environments. That's the best way to learn. Not fan-based environments, communities. Okay, so let's do just a couple of, tiny little changes, and I'll show you the complete before and after. And this is more of like rounding off and completing the expression. The acting. Expression is acting. Write that back to me, please. You also you have this blanket of hair, working around the face, but you have it affect the face in a very, very small way. Just a couple of shadows here and there, nothing really representing how thick the hair is, how it might have changed or affected the light's way to the face. So I would say just try, I would want to go back a little bit. Just try to bring in some indication that the hair casts a shadow. Alright, so before I did that was all the way up here. And so I just want to show that I'm a little bit more picky with the hair over here. It's not to say that my community is not, critiquable. Of course it is. I make mistakes all the time. I look at my before and afters and wonder if I could have gone in a different direction for a better teaching experience. But that's why I come back every Tuesday and Thursday to attempt it again and find and hopefully choose the better versions. Because if you're up here in my position on the podium, you'll see that I am tasked with choosing on the spot the best possible way to deliver this information. So it's pretty freestyle for the most part, and as you know, there's a hazard to that. And I don't always choose the best possible term or the best possible avenue for the critique hour, and which direction, which fundamental to choose to teach. But it's not to say that I can't be critiqued. It's to say that why would you try to find a flaw, having done so much of my, spent so much time just trying to deliver an educational experience, period. And I'm just like deleting comments left and right. I'm not sure if maybe it's the same 2 or 3 group people who just decided to critique my channel with a bunch of hateful comments. I'm not even sure what that was about, but I had to delete a couple of them for that reason. It's just why, I try to keep it pretty good as a wholesome. Is what I try to be wholesome. It's not something that I hope happens accidentally and then one day disappoint you all because I didn't really try to be wholesome. Now, I really do try to be righteous and wholesome in my classes as much as possible and be as accepting as possible. So, and then I still get comments like, "Oh, you suck," or "You're not teaching," or "You taught bad." It's just so funny. You can't teach bad. There's only information that flows out. Is the information bad? What do you mean? You mean fundamentals are bad? Like, what are you saying? So it confuses me because these people are so misguided and they're so afraid of being wrong, and they're so afraid of someone, God forbid a woman knows more than they do, and they just, instead of appreciating or thanking, they spend an hour writing this big ass message that they think will stay. They think that I'll just give them a stage for their ignorance. And in this time in this era, no more Trumps are going to get a mic in front of them. So all I see is just Trump, when I see comments like this. Shut the fuck up, It's like, this is a classroom and I'm teaching. There's really, nobody cares what you have to say unless it's for more teaching, unless you're actually teaching us something. So I gave the hair a little bit more volume, and now I'm bringing in that neutral white, yellow, and blocking it into the skin, just so that the skin all looks like it's from the same environment, and it looks like it's in the same room, because the skin is pretty lifeless at the moment. And if you were going for a stylistic lifeless, where the character is dead looking or zombie-esque or without life or vitality, then you were doing well. That I would remove the pink. I'm not sure what that pink is you put around the eyes, all the way up into the eyes. That's not really where skin blushes. I mean, we do have blush under the eyelid, and we have blush on the cheek, and you put a brush stroke to cover both, but you did it in a way that you were trying to hit two birds with one stone for no reason whatsoever. Blush really happens in the mid-tones. Brights are overrun by highlights and yellows. Darks have purples and more like a deeper cooler red. And so the orangey pinks that you know and love for the sake of blush really happens on the mid-tone belt right here, in between the shadows and the highlights. Right on the fattiest part of the cheek is where blush usually happens. And if there is a blush type value, it should be more cool around the eyelids, because the eyelids are less compact. They're actually very translucent, and they will let a lot of the colors underneath come through, which is that almost purpley tone, especially in brighter skin tones around the eyelids. Sometimes eyelids are straight up purple. You just have to go in your palette and pick out a purple for paler skin. You have to pick out a purple tone for the eyes. Okay. One thing that's happening in the eyes is that they're very, very blue. So we want to borrow some of that blue and use it on the white of the eye to make it look more uniform. Because white, as a paper, if you got a piece of paper and put it beside a red shirt, the piece of paper for your eye vision from where you're sitting will look pink, because you're just constantly jumping back and forth. White has no color and will inherit the nearest color overlapping it, either in your visual memory or just because it's right beside it and the light is kind of bouncing around and carrying some of that pink over and sitting on top of the white, which will reveal any pink in the air. So as a quick way to describe it. Any pink glowing in that bloom that happens when light falls on an object. So we've kind of completed the smile. There are so many other issues in the realism, which I will try to quickly run over. So the mouth is not feeling very cylindrical because you don't have a core shadow for the lower lip. The nose shadow, like the palette color, is a bit too warm. You want to just choose that color and cool it down and bring it back in. And I'm just going to use some of that same shadow color here. And then typically we see more of the neckline when a character is in perspective. So we see the head and the neck when it's completely top down. We don't see the neck, we see the head and the shoulders, sorry. So the neck is a little bit straight sitting, and the head is what's tilted down. And you can, if you wanted to, for that added mystery, because part of it is an expression why the eyebrows are so far away from the eyes. You can really lower the eyebrows more for that so this is expression based as well as perspective based, why we lowered the eyebrows even more than we already did. And that just brings in more of that evil look. Okay. So you have so many options. That's why teaching expressions can just be so time consuming, abstract, loquacious, full of, you know, it's just constantly flowing and ebbing information, because it's just up to the air, and it's really up in the air, and it's really based off the narrative. The narrative is what decides a lot. So that's why I try to show so many combinations, because we don't know at the end what the full narrative is supposed to be, what the best how to critique that narrative so that it's the best possible narrative, and then how to adjust the portrait. So we don't know how evil she is. We don't know the thoughts in her head. We don't know if she's looking at someone she hates. We don't know if she's looking at someone she can tolerate, because that will affect the eyebrows very differently. See how abstract this discussion is? It's so crazy. Most artists outside of this community believe that their style is some kind of extension of their identity, when in reality their style is nothing more than the mistakes they can't identify. That's really well put, Lulu. Yeah, their style is an accumulation of their habits. So my style is person who doesn't know how to draw. John, that's wonderful. So let's look at the before and after now. So you can see how confusing the expression before was. So before, okay, so we didn't, there is madness in the eyes. I hope that the artist knew that. But then there was that smile, and then the squint on the wrong side. And then the smile not affecting the eyes is a great technique, but it is not affecting the mouth, the muscles of the mouth properly. And then after, we have a bit more of a defined, oh, that's with the eyebrows. We have a bit more of a total motion in the face to describe why the eyes are so lifeless, because the head falls limp, and then why the mouth is smiling so minimally, but smiling in the right way. So now I'm just going to start rendering all those things that I said I might change just for that realism. So there's the fact that the initial dimpling of the mouth is missing. I'm just going to list them out as I apply them. With radial shading, I'm kind of dimpling the mouth a little bit, just so it looks like an accurate smile, and the jumbling up of muscles in that area. I'm going to borrow from that value here and use it at the edge of the mouth down. The other mouth is still in need of radial shading. It doesn't feel like it's unified with the rest of the face. And the very first radial droplet of paint is very large and very invisible. And as it shrinks, starts to feel more and more combined. So before, after. So you can see it really combines well. And then I'm just going to move this here. The best thing to do with people who, you know, are ignorant in that way, people who have no respect for critique art, is just to mute them. It's just to completely take away their voice. If they can't talk here, they can't distribute their trash. So that's been my motto, you know, mute the people who have nothing good to say. And then we just go from there and see what happens. Things only prosper. And lately I've been a lot more impatient with that stuff, just because I've gotten back into my planting and just cutting off that bad weed, or cutting off or trimming off that bud so it comes out better, or cutting off that leaf, or you know, it's just been, I used to just not touch my plants because I might kill them, you know, I might kill them just by touching them. And that was ridiculous, because that's not nurturing. To nurture, you have to make difficult decisions. And so I just go and trim. And I trimmed off all the bad in that plant, just like I trim away all these bad people from our community, because they do come with a bit of toxicity to them as well. I'm going to borrow some of this pink and use it on the waterline, completely missing any flesh on the waterline, as if she is using that. And that's something you can really take advantage of. If you make her eyes a little bit more red, it kind of shows off bit more emotion in the eyes when the eyes are red. And then there is a makeup alternative of making the eyes feel more evil, which is just bringing in that shot. It's not evil, I would say, just mysterious. But of course, it's up to you and the narrative at the end of the day what's happening. If it's a triumphant moment where the character just killed a person, the before might definitely work. But to look at the before, it's really hard to see whether or not they were just honestly going for a smile. And see how powerful the eyebrows are. Have a look. All I have to do is raise the inner eyebrow up, and the entire expression changes. All right, so now she may still be evil because that smile is so sinister, right? Only one side seems deliberate, seems kind of unhinged. It'd be actually really spooky to be killed by someone whose expression looks just like this because, you know, they have this a little bit of sympathy. It's like a part of them is wishing they weren't doing it, which is, I would say, good acting. But eyebrows, she looks sad, but she still looks a little bit crazy because of that smile. But having the eyebrows interact, basically the mouth is deciding everything. And then at this point right now, and then without the narrative, that's how we have to work. Something you're missing is just a little bit of hydration to the skin, a little bit of vibrance and glisten. And then a little bit of liquid here on the waterline. And that's really what makes skin look realistic. Is the fact that it has water on it. The oils in the forehead can actually really spike the contrast in that area very quickly. And there's always just a little bit of water pooling there in the nose. And get rid of any valley shining around. And use some of that pink on the cheek, on the nose as well. And I'm gonna radially raise the glisten on the mouth. And then you can always use a skin tone to just get rid of that lipstick look on the lips if you want. But the lips do look like they have a bit of lipstick on. Alright, so this was all blocked in, and I'm just gonna start blending it. I'm going to show you how to make this expression even more extreme. As I said, I love villains. So one thing that you can do is make it so that she opened her eyes so much we no longer have an upper eyelid space, especially for a down tilted head. So that will really just push the expression further. And we kind of get that madness that we had in the before. All right. And I'm just showing how the full space of the iris just doing a patch up job right now because of that liquefy. So if you do find yourself in areas where you are antagonized because you're critiquing, these communities are never going to change. If you think suddenly they're just going to say, oh wow, yeah, that's a great critique, they're never going to change. They just take it from me. I went through a lot of communities, and I went through a lot of members in my own community, and I've taught a lot of students who struggle to accept critique. Just stay away from that. People who have sown their identity with their art while they're still learning made a terrible mistake. It's like selling your soul. You cannot invest your soul into something so temporary. as your skill set, as your skill, period. So these people, if you critique them, you're attacking them, and what are you supposed to do if you, by doing this, are the enemy? There's no winning. So it's the best thing to do is just to say adios, and then I'm sure you will find, the universe gives you what you give. You will find a community that talks like you, thinks like you. You will find your kin, you know, your people. Even if they're sitting here drawing evil people. Unhinged in madness. We are your people. You will find us. You don't have to join any Discord. I think Discord communities can be very toxic. I'm running 2 of them, and I try my best to keep the toxicity down. One of them is invite only, and one of them is Patreon, which is also invite only, and it's exclusive. Little plug there. I didn't even mean to make it a plug. And being so personally connected to people outside of your post, outside of, you know, it's just a live discussion, constant live discussion can be a breeding ground for all kinds of antagonism and miscommunication, and especially because it's text. As your teacher, as your friend, I recommend you guys not be too invested in those Discord communities. If you get into them, pop in and out, show your art, leave. If they're a good community, they'll critique you, you'll get what you need. If you spend too much time socializing, gaming, not really doing art, you're really, at the end of the day, not getting what you're supposed to be getting out of your Discord communities. Which is improving your educational, you know, adding to your educational experience. Right, so that's it with the unhinged eyes and the head tilted down. And I would tilt the head down even further. But again, you do have that option of tilting the head up and making her look a little bit more crazy. And then of course, there's the really, really fun stuff with this, which is the head tilt to the side. And the head tilt to the side does something very fun with the hair. And that's the hair kind of just starts to drape, which is really cool. That possibly drapes over the face as well. Might even get these strands here as well. So expression happens in so many ways. It's all linked to narrative and the role the character is playing, but just so that you guys can see the possibilities out of just one, you know, madness and evil as the narrative starter, as the prompt, and then how much further we can go. And I like pushing the boundaries. I like really trying my best to show you the furthest you can go for that trope or that narrative prompt. So we widen the eyes. And then there's something else you can do, and now you can just tell I'm having fun now. Okay, is the eyebrow, triangular eyebrow thing. So that shows danger. We have a danger factor. So any old, you know, cartoon will just make the eyebrows super mad, super angry. Oh my gosh, it's evil. You know, it's like a really, really cheap way of making a character look angry. And for a lot of you, you guys do 14-day challenges with neutral faces. And so when you actually have to do an expression, you guys do the cheesy stuff. You guys don't try to pull it off with subtlety. So this is actually pretty subtle and pretty mild compared to what we usually do. And the eyes and the eyebrows are actually doing so much, you can almost say the mouth is cheesy. And so we might not even need the smile in the mouth because it makes the character look more. It's like it's like she's smiling with her eyes without smiling with her mouth. Okay? And you can see how the red in the eyes really did a lot. So now she looks a little bit kind of like she's zoning out. And the way to fix that is to make the focus in the eyes even more zoned in. Just really, really focus it. Kind of like someone who is just, I wouldn't say it's a good time if it, for the protagonist. If this was the protagonist, I think the protagonist just went crazy. And then there's the real full-on squint in one eye. In order to have a successful squint that makes sense and that doesn't look like the eyes are the wrong size, is to just make sure the low line is level. So the lowest line of the eye is level. Okay. And so one thing that we do with villains in movie making and everything. So I just finished watching Umbrella Academy, and when that character goes crazy at the end, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. You notice that the costume design put her in a lot of makeup, eye makeup. Who noticed that? Put your hands up. So that is a very strategic thing that they did to make her look dangerous. These are the tropes of entertainment in our time, at least. So they put a lot of makeup around her eyes. They made her skin more pale. She was just this, and that's the way you scare the audience. Oh shit, this is serious. We're talking, you know, this shit's going down now because look at her face. And that's how you entice that reaction from your audience. So this entire story just took a 180 degree. You thought we were looking at an evil character before. Look closer now and you see that this has just gone further. And so even whether or not her head tilted up or down. And then there is the removing of any blush at all. So I'm going to use color layer to remove any colors that may make her look you know, happy or just pretty, which means pink is happy and colored lips is pretty, so I'm getting rid of them. And I'm going to exaggerate, it's not to remove color, I'm going to exaggerate the blue in the eyes. Actually, I'm going to make it more of like a sickly green turquoisey blue. And then now we're really pushing it, and now we're putting some of that blue or that green in the under eye color. Okay. So remember when I said, when we covered villains a while ago, we mentioned how villains are just basically sick people. It's not, I'm not describing their personality. No, if the way you would paint a character that is sick on a hospital bed who's dying is how you paint the villain. Because you're trying to represent that they are a danger, this is death, skull, anything that reminds you of a skull. And to really Halloweenify it, you kind of make the eyebrows a little bit thinner. Right? That kind of just removes from her vice. So she's getting more and more crazy as the class develops. And so where we were before, so let's backtrack, go back in history a little. So the smile, the head tilting back is also weird. We get more and more mild in expression until we look at the before. And this is with a lot of adjustments. The eyes were more soft. That was just kind of confusing why the eyes had to be so soft. She still looked dangerous though. That's the beauty of the human face, is that it hides a lot of things. The volume in the mouth. Would black lipstick looks too cheesy? No, not at all. Black lipstick is just one really great way of dressing up a villain. I would say if you're going for the black lipstick, ease up on the dark eyeshadow, because you're just redrawing Marilyn Manson. And nothing's wrong with that. It's just that you are just painting a skull at that point. And that's the before. Right, so very soft eyes, a mouth that didn't really affect the muscles around it, and the eyebrows are pretty much what saved it, and then you have that eye squint, and then you have that crazy change to where we are right now, which is absolutely crazy, because she looks absolutely scary right now. I'm actually very scared. All right, so we're going to darken the background a little bit. It's the green in the eyes, really. Yeah, the small top of her head made it look like she's towering over us, right? So it was like she was looking down to us. and then after. Someone's beeping at the after. She looks much younger because her face is less long, so it's mostly the nose not overlapping the mouth and the head shrinking in size. So the head looks like a younger character because, oopsie, because we just need to lengthen it because of the changes I made. And the chin needs to just be a little bit longer. So when you lengthen a head, the character looks older. But I think the haircut is also a reason why. And then the cheekbones and the jawline. Alright, so that made her look a little bit older. Excuse me. Okay. I'm gonna keep the younger version just because I really didn't take time to make it look older. So expression is crazy. Be aware of the power in the eyebrows. Be aware of tropes and how you're supposed to entertain them. Make sure that you're using them, applying them, learning them. How do I learn them, Mr. Brack? By watching more movies and being attentive to the changes of the characters. Characters don't look the same throughout the movie or the show. They change. Something about them changes in good costume, good movies at least, good costume design addresses that. So we have characters like in No Country for Old Men who come in crazy. They come into the show crazy. I don't know how to spell his name. He enters the movie very, very crazy. I forget when, you know, when the first scenes are, what the first scenes are, but towards the end, he looks so pasty and evil and just fucking terrifying. Right? It's just amazing acting. But even towards the end of the movie, he looked more and more crazy. I'm not 100% sure if this is towards the end. So this is good acting. This is just, you know, I mean, when a character has stern eyebrows, there's a nobility in that. But he kind of has this stillness to his face when he's smiling. It's like only his mouth is smiling, almost like a Joker. So it's just amazing acting, and you can see how much acting goes into painting a character that has a really, really strong expression like this. But this is a fun expression. You know, this is an evil person going crazy or unhinged or is finally flipped or is being possessed by a demon or something. And then there's, you know, a character screaming in battle, which is a very basic, obtuse expression. It's not something that I would worry about too much, other than the fact that when you make a character scream, half the face is the mouth. That's my recommendation for that. Smiling characters, to make characters soft, don't touch the eyebrows, because you can turn a soft smile into the most evil thing if you lower the eyebrows a bit too much. So always make sure the eyebrows are lifted up towards the inside. The inside of the eyebrows show tons of innocence. So it's mostly like, you know, what we would accredit to a baby face. There's not much hair on a baby's face, unless you got a hairy baby. And those things do happen. But the eyebrows are usually not that bushy. There's not much expression there. Babies have this really up, you know, smiley face. And so we would say that is the image of innocence. And then ever since then, now, we just use our eyebrows in that way. When we have no dark thoughts, no dark emotions, our eyebrows are pretty neutral or happy and raised up. As for why our emotions do that, you're going to have to ask the biologist. Is that the term? A neurologist? I'm not sure. So I will let you guys go. Thank you guys for coming today. I'm sorry about the weird technical setup. I mean, you guys don't even see it on your end. Sorry anyways, because my mic is literally taped up to a mount right now until my headsets come in. So I will see you guys on Tuesday the 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is the next stream. If you guys want to submit work for today, Cruella DeVille invites you to visit my website, istebrak.com. Click on the little Reddit icon here to join us on Reddit. Watch Disney sue me just for saying that. Don't forget about the store, the sale. The portrait studio will go back to almost regular price on the 1st of July, on the 1st of September. All right, that's the next month. Yes, it is. If you guys submitted some good notes, you may get a brush set or many brush sets, or the portrait studio itself if you made really, really good notes, for free through the Reddit. I will upload the Reddit challenge, next design challenge, which is a book cover, hopefully by the end of today, once I'm done rendering today's class. And if you liked what you learned today, you learned something, you want to give back to the community, you can join on Patreon. Even as $1 a month, that's $12 a year. It really does add up if everyone joins, and I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who answered the call, who went through the checkout, who signed up as a watcher. I appreciate it. That act, it just does so much for us, and it keeps the community going, and it's really motivating for me. So thank you to everyone who does join as a patron. You guys are wonderful. I'll let you guys go. I'll see you guys on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Thank you everyone for joining today. Bye.